Hey everyone, it's Dennis. I'm going to dovetail from my last video into this video. I spoke about my suicide attempt after, my first drink. 6 months into it, I then was depressed, suicidal, and very alcoholic. And that's all very, very true. But I'm going to give a little background as to how that came about. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It didn't just like all of a sudden I started drinking and became suicidal. There was some other things going on in my life. And the biggest thing that I was dealing with was my own sexuality. I am gay. And back then in the late 70s, early 80s, 90s, it was very different than it is now. It was very, very difficult to come out. And keep in mind, this is the beginning of during the AIDS epidemic. So just to also give a background, I am Catholic. I was Catholic. I am Catholic. I enjoyed the Mass. I got a lot of peace out of the church. I still do. Going to church was always a very peaceful time for me. And so I identify always as a Catholic, and I'm happy to be a Catholic. And I've made peace with myself and God and all that since, mostly. And so there, but back then that was a problem, as well as my family, very socially conservative family, especially my mom, and just in general, it was very out of character for me to become gay. It was very difficult, very, very difficult. And so, so coming to grips with my nature caused me huge stress throughout my life. Most of the time back then, it was, I repressed it, I denied it, I just pretended it wasn't there, and I was very, I guess you could even say, asexual for a lot of my life. For the beginning of my life anyway. And I just sort of repressed any feelings that I had. But this became more and more difficult to do. And it was like trying to hold back the tide. I am what I am, and there was no way around that. I could not pull off being straight as far as my nature. I couldn't be with women. So anyway, that became more and more difficult, and then the more I started to deal with it, the more heated it became in my mind, and alcohol became a pacifier for that. At least I thought at first. Now here's the really important thing. I may have started drinking because of such things, right? Dealing with the big things in my life and trying to not deal with the big things in my life that were just going to come anyway. And drinking, I may have felt that it was helping deal, right? It was sort of a self-medication. But the most important thing you need to know is that the drinking became a thing in and by itself. Independent of any of my problems, it became the problem. If I took my first drink, I was not thinking about my struggles as being who I am. I was thinking about the next drink. My alcoholism became pure alcoholism, and the other problems that I had were sort of accessories to it. So the drinking became the object of all things. And that is the real important thing to understand. I am not making excuses for my drinking or saying it is the reason, my being gay is the reason why I was alcoholic. No. I drank alcoholically because I'm an alcoholic. And that is so important for you to understand. There are mitigating circumstances. There's people in my family who drank alcoholically, and yeah, they had some really big issues as well. But the thing is, the drinking, if you are an alcoholic, you are an alcoholic regardless of all the other issues. It is the issue. So that's the really important takeaway from that. But there's also a lot of people who are gay and lesbian and whatever who do go to drugs and alcohol. I know that because I've gone to gay and lesbian meetings, and there are loads of us out there. And so you have to understand that it's not an uncommon thing to have happen, and to drink because of these things. It's actually, and drug actually a lot. So I'm hoping maybe if somebody identifies with that, is a good thing. And if you don't, you don't, okay? But you might find something parallel in your life that may have been a reason for you to drink. I was also incredibly socially awkward, still am, in parties and whatnot. I'm not comfortable. And I drank more to fit in with myself than with others. I know a lot of people drank and they would become more socially lubricated, but that I drank all by myself, and I was happy drinking by myself. And I was happier, I thought, when I was drinking. Anyway, I don't want to, so I'm not ending this on a real positive. I'm not tying this up in a bow this time. I will the next time maybe, but not this time, because it really didn't stop. It continued. This was the beginning of the 16-year slog, the 15 years of me crawling on the floor. So there it is. And I know this isn't the most fluid video, but it actually has been very difficult for me to get through just because of the topic. So there it is.